chaps. Happy Monday morning in California. Happy Monday lunchtime in the East Coast. Happy Monday afternoon. Taylor Twellman has taken a red eye. I mean, this should be called Taylor's Travels. That's what this podcast should be.
It should.
And for those listening, the reason why I'm telling you he's taken a red eye is because he's obviously knackered and he has had to get up off the red eye and come straight onto the podcast. So he has been consuming, and it doesn't look like there's many left in that box, an entire box of blue raspberry sour Mike and Ike.
Yes, it's amazing. Greatest taste ever. Naturally next to the largest iced coffee you can possibly consume within 30 minutes. It may or may not be my third one since I've landed, Rebecca. So if you don't hear me speak for 2 to 3 minutes, Theo, I am using the men's room.
Do you feel a bit sick when I used to take a lot of red eyes. I feel a bit sick when I land in the morning, like a little bit like slightly hit by a truck feeling. Did you?
Yes. The 18-wheeler went right over me, and a cat may or may not have pooped in the back of my mouth when I was sleeping on the airplane.
Ew. Did you have a bed? Real quick. We like this. Do you have a bed?
Yes, I did. First world problems? Yes, I did.
Okay, well, that actually means that you're on the same situation as me and Theo, because when you have a bed on a plane, I mean, like you said, first world problems.
That means you're on the same level as me. Here we go. Let's start the pod.
Okay. First of all,
Right.
Taylor, how's your back? Because you sent us a text during the week on our little group thread for It's Called Soccer, and you're like, I've thrown my back out. But then I saw you playing golf. So do me a favor. What are you talking about?
Drugs are good. Drugs are really important when you do something like that. No, in all seriousness, guys, short story, getting on the airplane, it's a little wet. And I see it 6 o'clock in the morning, kind of wearied. And I slip, kind of like a quick jolt. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I sit on the plane. I go to get off the plane, and I literally can't get up. I can't stand up. And I'm like, oh, no. I threw my right hip out. It wasn't my back.
It's not funny.
It is funny. Here's why it's funny, Rebecca. Because you're on the pod, because Theo and I don't know this pain. I go see the chiro, and he goes, what'd you do, have a baby? And so I'm laughing, going, oh, that's funny. And he goes, yeah, Taylor, only pregnant women do this kind of thing. And I was like,
and I actually did it. I actually went to the chiropractor after I gave birth with a hip that was out of whack, and one leg was like 3 inches shorter than the other after I gave birth. Anyway, nobody needs my birthing story. Theo, have you played golf? 9 holes, 10 holes, 12 this week?
I played golf yesterday, actually, and I had friends with me. I played with some people, and I actually ended up winning as well. So how about that, Taylor? Yeah.
9 holes? Or?
I shot.
Oh, my God.
No, 18.
He's getting better. Taylor, I'm getting proud. Like, he started with no friends and 9 holes, and now he's got friends and he's winning 18. I know, bless him.
Well, to be fair, I started with 18 holes, but it takes me 4 holes to get going. That's always my problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think golf should be 15 holes, maybe 14, and then you go home.
Yeah, but
That's it. Happy medium.
I don't know. Maybe go to the driving range before it starts. I don't know.
That's the problem.
do you think, though, hiring Ange Postecoglou was an error?
I think whatever Nottingham Forest does, because of their ownership and leadership, is always going to be an error.
You know, he wants characters around. I get that. And Jude Bellingham is that. However, he wants a team, and he's not a team member at this moment in time.
Because I was up close and personal with them, and I was like, wow, you are feisty. We haven't seen that yet on TV. Well, it's going to happen. If this carries on, they're going to push him, and they're going to poke him, and they're going to try and get him to give a reaction.
There's an aura to Arsenal right now. There's a different air to it that they all collectively are like, listen, we're going to win this thing. We want to win this thing, and we'll do anything.
Now he's realising, actually, God, we've got 5, 6, 7 new signings that don't understand what it means to play for Liverpool.
Not a good weekend for Liverpool, because they go into the international break in second position. I don't think anybody saw that coming. If we were talking, I think it was a week ago last Saturday morning, right? They were 5 points clear. So less than 9 days ago, 5 points clear. Today, as we go into the international break, a point behind Arsenal after everything that happened at the weekend. Let's start with that unbelievable game at Stamford Bridge, the late game on Saturday. Liverpool losing to Chelsea by 2-1. Estevao with that last-minute winner, the 18-year-old Brazilian wonder kid. Incredible scenes. Maresca running down the touchline. Absolutely love it. Congratulations to Chelsea. But we've got to talk about Liverpool. I'm not quite sure where to start when it comes to them. We've covered Wirtz last week. We've done the fullbacks. We've also mentioned that Milos Kerkez has been struggling at left back. Right back is definitely a problem now. Trent has gone. They haven't found somebody to fill in properly. Is it Soboslai? Is it Frimpong? Frimpong doesn't want to work there, does he, as a fullback? But one of the problems, Taylor, that they've also got is Mo Salah. And I don't know how much of the quietness of Mo Salah is because there's no Trent behind him.
Yes, I'm so glad you phrased the question in that manner, because I'd argue three problems that Liverpool have. Two of them, they're the combination of no Trent, and then Salah doesn't have that overriding theme of do I defend the overlapping run from Trent Alexander? Can I come inside? So now they're both compounding each other. My biggest issue, truthfully, Rebecca, is on top of this, without Nunez and Diaz, doesn't it feel like there's a lack of energy defending from the front? Mm-hmm. There's no real of what we love from Liverpool, the defensive actions, the counter press, however we want to phrase it. There's none of that. But I think no Trent has hurt Salah. I really believe that, because I think Trent consistently being an outside back, consistently being a threat. He was honestly the metronome for the team in wide areas, because you could play through him and know you could have 3v2s, 2v1s, whatever it may be. But now it makes, and I hate saying this word, but it makes it predictable. It was unpredictable with Trent on that side for Salah. Now it is predictable. And yes, he's a little bit older. Father time's knocking on the door. It's a little bit easier to defend Liverpool without Trent on the side. But I think the biggest issue is that identity in the front with Nunez and Diaz and the pursuit and the counter press and getting the ball back. They lack energy in that. They lack an identity there. And I don't think they really scare anyone when it comes to that type of thing. But I think Trent Alexander not being on the right has limited Salah. And I think Theo's going to agree with me on this. The counter pressing from Liverpool without Nunez, without Diaz. Now they've got more of a technical team. I hate saying it that way, but you know where I'm trying to go with this. With the amount of money that they've signed, you don't have that reaction from Liverpool that puts you under the gun a little bit.
Theo, Mo Salah signing that massive contract that took forever to come to fruition. He was actually quite quiet towards the end of last season in terms of just his presence on the field. And he's continued that, Theo, this season. I was in the studio this weekend with Robbie Mustoe and Stephen Warnock, and they were both like, well, it's not like we haven't seen this before. An aging player who ekes out another contract and then does exactly what Liverpool were nervous he was going to do straight away. Now, I'm not saying that is happening. He might just be having a bit of a sort of a slow patch. What do you think about why Mo Salah is just not looking like he has done for the last, 5-10 years?
It's more on the fact the level he's set, and I think we're all kind of forgetting how big of a hit in everything that's happened for Liverpool with Diogo Jota, and the fact that when you have someone who's very close to you every day and you never see this person who he could influence in a positive way, his character, the way he's around the training ground, the way he brings people together, it could well be affecting the team massively. It could be affecting Mo particularly, like anyone, like his family, of course, I understand. But I think we're forgetting that these guys, yes, they need to go do a job. However, they've had something horrific happen to, a big part of their Liverpool careers. And, maybe I had a good think about it, thinking, yes, we want these players to play and perform. But however, we forget that they're people. And he's trying his best, of course, but it's just not quite clicking for him, and that could be a factor. I'm no doubt it's a factor, actually. Of course it is. I
mean, could it be a factor for all of these reasons? I mean, obviously Alisson's injured, so they've got Mamadashvili. The fullbacks are not yet working out. Konate's not in good form. Virgil's having to do such a lot of heavy lifting. Florian Wirtz is not fitting in, as we saw again. Salah is quiet. Isak doesn't even look like scoring a goal right now, and Gakpo's quite quiet when he plays on the left. Do you think the grief that we have to remember could be infiltrating and be behind all of this? Or could it be that they've changed too much too soon?
I think it's that. I think it's the latter. I think they've changed. Yeah, you're hitting it on the head there. I think they've changed too much, too quickly. However, look, we all at the start of the season were Liverpool were my favourites, and they still not perform well, but they're only, a point off Arsenal, right, without actually performing at a level. And then we were expecting Liverpool to perform. Will be, Christmas period where their squad will really take its shape, I would have thought. But I think they all got to look at each other and think, actually, no, we need to start doing better. We need to be doing more. And I think it's more players like Virgil van Dijk is actually having a lot more responsibility than he ever has done. And he has a lot of responsibility anyway in that whole football club. But now he's realising, actually, God, we've got 5, 6, 7 new signings that don't understand what it means to play for Liverpool. And I think that's what it is not understanding what it means. Because I see Wirtz run around like he wants that time in the ball. And I said this a few weeks back. You don't get time in the Premier League. Yeah. And people like Frimpong, you got to adapt and get the best out of Mo Salah. He had Trent behind him, who was, the best distributor of a ball that probably the English game has ever seen. Now that's gone from him, and he's having someone like Frimpong constantly bombing around him, and he doesn't need that. He doesn't need to be... No. He needs to isolate the fullbacks himself, not actually attract more players. And I think that balance and those relationships, the connections aren't happening. And I think Mo Salah's really...
Theo, they look predictable now down the right.
Yeah, it is.
They were never predictable with Trent there. They just weren't predictable. I think, and Theo, I want your opinion on this. I think Luis Diaz is a massive miss. Because he would sacrifice himself to defend. When you look at the amount of money they've spent at Etitike, Isak, Wirtz, they're all attacking players. They're not going to give themselves up to defend and sacrifice themselves. I think Luis Diaz is a massive miss.
I think as well, Taylor, actually. I understand why he left, because he's probably one of the best wingers who was so direct, so unique. And he was probably the player at Liverpool that was not getting paid what he felt was right for someone of his ability. So I understand as a player, he's thinking, one minute, I'm one of the best wingers in the country. I've won the Premier League. I should be getting paid. And it does come down to that. I know, and it will as a player. And I think that's a major factor. And that's the difference of Liverpool actually trying to think, the wage side of things. How far they go with someone like him.
Look at Rebecca. Harry Kane's got, 75 goals in his first 8 games. I don't find that a coincidence.
That's true, because they're pairing up, aren't they? We'll talk about Harry Kane, actually, because I want to get to Harry Kane later on in this pod. I think what's also interesting for me is Arne Slot really last season had nothing difficult to deal with during the season other than the contract issues of Virgil van Dijk, Trent and Salah, which was something that he can deal with all day long because he's just that good with the media. And all of a sudden, he's now having to rebuild a team, which maybe didn't need rebuilding, but they've chosen to try and rebuild it to make it better. And that is a huge challenge that he didn't have to do last year under the spotlight of Liverpool Football Club, which is not anything he's ever had to deal with before. So they've lost a little bit of ground. And Theo, Arsenal look like they did last weekend, actually, like they have done midweek. Flawless. And I think you said last weekend, in the pod last week, you said there is no weakness in this team. And it felt like, because West Ham had gone there, I think, the last 2 seasons and won. And so there was always going to be like, oh no, is it going to be that history repeating itself? It could not have been more a walk in the park straightforward than it was. And that is what they need. Just churn out these straightforward second gear victories, right, Theo?
Yeah, no, just quickly going back to Arne Slot as well. We don't actually understand what he's like when they're not performing well away from the scenes in the meetings, how he's actually behaviour, talking to players as well, because he hadn't suffered these many defeats last year, and now all of a sudden they're going to see a different side of him. But anyway, that's enough about Liverpool. Anyway, Arsenal, yes.
And also, sorry, real quick on that. No, you've got me thinking. Also, with the media, we haven't seen him get stressed out yet. And I was there on opening weekend against Bournemouth, and that opening weekend, and the press seats that we had at NBC were right there between the 2 dugouts, okay? And I watched Slot a lot, and he was getting furious, like so animated, unlike anything I'd seen before with a fourth official, like, because I was up close and personal with them, and I was like, wow. You are feisty. We haven't seen that yet on TV. Well, it's going to happen. If this carries on, I mean, unless he is a better person than anybody, like he is, they're going to push him and they're going to poke him and they're going to try and get him to give a reaction. And that is going to be really interesting to see how he can deal with that as well. Go on.
Rebecca, Marco Silva was like that when we were winning. In the best manager in the world. As soon as you lost 1-2, 3.
Klopp was like that. Jurgen Klopp was like that. He was like laughing and joking, let's give everyone a hug, Jurgen Klopp. And then the minute they lost a couple, he was mean. He was mean, Jurgen Klopp, to the interviewer. So I'm excited to see that. I would like everybody please to be like Thomas Frank. Thank you very much. Back to my Arsenal question I asked like 5 minutes ago.
I
I
forgot
don't
it.
even know what it was. I mean,
forgot
it
what
was
the
just
question
like,
was.
could it be? I'll tell you what it was. Thank you very much. It was so straightforward against West Ham. It was like, sort of like, look at Taylor. There are none left. You've eaten them all, Taylor. You're 7 years old. You've eaten a whole box of Mike and Ike's. Arsenal,
Yes.
7. Arsenal look like exactly where they need to be, don't they? All of a sudden.
Do you know what? When you say 2-0 as well, it was comfortable. It was not, and even when it
So
was 1-0,
comfortable.
it was never ever signs of them actually dropping any points. And I think that was the difference last year. They drew too many games, and these are the kind of games they would have drawn. And I think the stress levels around the actual fan base as well was pretty relaxed because they knew how much control they were, the possession as well. Look, I think Arsenal, I've said this, they are in a moment, and I think they can even get better. And I say that because the amount of players and the competition on a day-to-day basis, and they're all in they're one mind right now. Mikel Arteta's got them all focused the way he wants to think. And I think when you have that as a manager in your team, and that's what it is, it's not a bunch of individuals anymore trying to moments. They've got a team where someone drops out, it's no problem. Odegaard picks up an injury, it's no problem. Saka picks up an injury, it's no problem.
Everybody would have been devastated before with Odegaard's injury. And it's like, he got injured. Oh, yeah, he's out the international. What? Oh, because their squad's so good.
It doesn't matter anymore because, and that was the problem. They were relying on some individuals too much last year on the amount of games that are playing. They couldn't do it at that level. Now he can afford to make subs, and the players are quite happy coming off. It doesn't bother them anymore because they know the amount of games they're going to play and perform and affect the game. And I think that's what it is, affect the game. Martinelli, he's affected the game every time he's been on that field, and I think. Yeah, there's room for improvement.
There's an aura to Arsenal right now. There's a different air to it that they all collectively are like, listen, we're going to win this thing. We want to win this thing, and we'll do anything. Because I'm not sure Odegaard's injury or being subbed out would have been handled in the manner by past Arsenal teams over the past, I'd say, 5 to 8 years, the way it's being handled now and addressed. And they dominated. What was it? They had 68% possession. They had 20-some-odd shots. They created all these. West Ham wasn't even in the game.
And as well, Taylor, as well, like we're talking about Slot with the way he's been different in the media.
Yes.
Even when the media asks questions about Odegaard, Mikel's like, he'll just rub off, no problem at all. It's, we have Eze, we have other players, we have Ethan Wanyeri at times can't even make the bench. Like, it's a different side of him and the way he answers questions out to people. I think there's a really
and that happened so
aura
quick.
about him right now.
That happened real quick because he
Real
wasn't
quick.
like that last year.
That happened after that Gabriel header. That's when that happened, because before that Newcastle game, he was one of those managers that was like sweetness and light when they win and then a little mean when they didn't. So that changes happened quickly. I need to ask you about Saka. This morning, my little boy went to cross-country practice and he put on his Saka top.
Yes.
Bukayo Saka this week, scoring on his 200th Premier League appearance, becoming just the 7th youngest player in Premier League history to reach 100 goal involvements. So that's 100 goals or assists in 200 Premier League games. This kid, apart from the fact I'd like to put him in my pocket and just carry him around because I just love him that much, this kid is... how do you even articulate how good this kid is, Theo?
Yeah, he's one of many, many good wingers at Arsenal Football Club, that's for sure. No, do you know what? I think we forget how young he is still and what he's achieved in the game and what he's had to come through some very dark moments in his career from what other people say, but his just behaviours. He's an absolute role model for every young footballer coming through, just the way he deals with situations. And I just love the way he just smiles and just plays with that freedom. And we spoke about players not playing with freedom, and he does. And I said this at the start of the pod as well, when they signed Madueke, we see a different side of him. And I'm telling you, we are seeing a different side of him. We massively are. Like, he obviously got picked in the England squad, which is amazing for him, of course. Might have changed if Madueke wasn't there, but I'm sure we can talk about it a bit later. However, I just think he's so important to the team. However, it's nice to now knowing that he can have a bit of a rest, because he deserves it at times.
Yeah.
And credit to him. But look, I remember when I first retired, actually, and I went into the dressing room. I went to go see the guys, and I brought the kids in, and he took them in the gym and signed their shoes and showed them around. And I thought,
Did he?
Goodness me, I want to take you home as well and put you in my pocket. Goodness me.
I know,
amazing.
right? Put him in the pocket.
I was in that building, called that game European Cup final. And what was he, 19 when he missed the penalty? I think he was 19 or whatever the age was, maybe a little bit younger. And it was 4 or 5 days after the mask mandate was lifted from COVID, and there was a real energy to that building. One of the things I'll remember for the rest of my life. But what he dealt with after that is to show I will always be a Saga. I will always be his fan because to redeem himself. And I'm not talking about redeeming himself on the field. I'm talking about to not let that derail his hopes, his dreams, his passion, his conviction to giving back in life. I will forever be a fan. I will forever be a fan of his because that is perseverance. That was completely ridiculous, completely inhumane what he dealt with after that. After a missed penalty, which we all would agree was kind of ridiculous. He was put in to subbed in, didn't even have a touch and had to take the penalty. But I digress. He's unbelievable. I will forever be a fan of his.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. The gumption, the strength of character to deal with that disgusting racism. And like you say, not only continue in his incredibly graceful
and
humble way that he goes about his day-to-day life off the field, but then to thrive on the field.
Right.
Is otherworldly, actually. So anyway, he's in my pocket. If you need to know where he is, he's right there. I have just had to pick up my phone to triple check that Ange Postecoglou has yet to be fired. He hasn't been fired yet. Nottingham Forest went to Newcastle, lost. That's 7 games now Ange Postecoglou has taken charge of, no win. He's coming out fighting. He is coming out fighting. He says, I love a fight. He said, so what if it's a fight? If it's a struggle, it's okay. Well, it might not be okay because, Taylor, we know that Evangelos Marinakis, or Mr. Marinakis, as everybody in the vicinity of Nottingham seemingly has to call him, likes to make quick decisions. And for one, I don't think he should be fired because you're firing somebody after 27 days in the job. Today is day 28 would be insanity to me. Really, really insane. Sam Allardyce at Leeds right now has the shortest tenure of any manager. And that was when he took over at the end and he was only fired because the season ended and he took Leeds down. So 28 days is ridiculous. However, we're talking about Evangelos Marinakis who does these things. He did a manager after 11 games at Olympiacos. So I'm now thinking we're on Monday morning at California time. We're on Monday. If you're going to fire him, do it now, because don't fire him halfway through the international break because you've got to get somebody else in, blah, blah, blah. So I'm hoping that he's going to get the next chunk before the November international break. Do you think, though, Taylor, hiring Ange Postecoglou was an error?
I think whatever Nottingham Forest does because of their ownership and leadership is always going to be an error. Just because it seems like it's way more emotional driven than any kind of analysis, any kind of real cool-headed calmness. It's just not going to happen. And so I think he took the job too soon. I personally believe that.
How do you turn that down, Taylor? It's a Premier League job. You know, you might be the one that...
You took the words right out of my mouth.
It's £2 million quid or whatever it is. No.
Yes, I think in a perfect world, he would have been like, give me a few months here. But you don't have that in a perfect world. It's the Premier League, and they're going to offer you the job. You have to take the job. But my word, this is a job where he's lost 5? What has he done? What's it, 7 games? 5 of 7 he's lost, 7 without a win. They haven't looked like they've been a part of any of the games, Theo and Rebecca. They don't even look competent enough to win. He's now having to address the quote that someone said he's already called it a lost cause. So now he's defending that in the pressers and talking with the media. I don't trust anything that Forrest does. And I disagree with you. It would not surprise me by the time we stop taping this podcast if in the middle of the international break, he's out. Well,
if he does, just to let everybody know, we will just very quickly try and jump back on and just give our reaction.
Yeah, I agree.
Otherwise, we'll be massively out of date. Theo, do you think Marinakis should just say, I got this wrong, sack him, get somebody else and start again? Do you think that's what should happen?
Goodness me. Look, as a player and you're in this dressing room when Nuno went, I would have been just discussing with each other thinking, what are they doing? So now they're having these conversations, the players are, because what they achieved last year and what he brought to that football club, and Marinakis doesn't look at that. He's just looked at, Ange he won the one with Tottenham, didn't he? Let's get someone in to win that competition for us. I think he'd do it for us. Or if he doesn't, it'll be in the second year. But I just think as a player, I'm just thinking we've worked so hard to know what Nuno does. Now all of a sudden I've got to do it a different way. And the profiles of the players aren't the way Ange wants to play.
They haven't changed.
So
Right.
in that short amount of time, and he's going to ask them to do something different. They can't do it. It's like when I was at Southampton, we had managers changing constantly. They can't adapt that quickly. You can't. You need time, and then international break.
So you need to give him another few months then?
Well, they will have to, because he's not really... You think about it, the period of time he's been there, he's had 7 games. He wouldn't have trained a lot with these guys in exactly what he wants to do, or even at the level anyway, because managers need a couple of weeks to just... Even pre-season, they need a 6 weeks.
And they've had midweek games pretty much the whole time.
Exactly. And however, the way the Premier League is and the ownership of a lot of clubs and the way the talk is, he won't be there yet. I can't, it's not going to change, and the way he is. So
not at that
this is
rate.
a shame, because I kind of like the way he speaks. I like it. I kind of like him.
Do you? Do you, Theo?
Yeah.
Do you?
I do. He just speaks of honesty. I don't mind him at all.
Does he though? I don't know. I think I liked him when he first came for the first couple of months, when he was such a breath of fresh air. And I just think because everything has kind of not gone his way, I don't know. I think I've talked about this last year. I don't know about
Rebecca. I
his
think he
manner
always
with the interviewers.
He kind of wants to give the media a little bit. He wants to fight everyone, which I kind of like.
Yeah, but why does he have to fight somebody asking a question and doing their job? Sorry. Anyway.
I know.
Okay.
Good point.
I'll always come down on the side of the journalist of. We've got other things to get to this week, guys, because we're heading into international breaks. I want to touch on both England and USA. And, of course, England's squad comes out. And, of course, Harry Kane is in it. And he'll always be in it. I don't care if he's got a broken leg. He'll still be in it. But we need to talk about him a little bit, Theo, at club level, because we don't really talk about Harry Kane in the same breath as... the Messis and the Ronaldos and the Mbappes and stuff. And yet here he is with 18 goals in 10 games this season for Bayern Munich. And he's become the quickest player to score 100 goals for one of Europe's top 5 league clubs. He's absolutely on fire. Why does he not get more credit?
From who? Is he not getting credit from who?
I just feel like, I'm not sure he gets enough credit from anybody, actually. Do you think he does?
I think he's incredible. I mean, playing with him as well as another player I played with, Taylor.
Yeah? What was that like?
Oh my...
Seriously, the name dropper, but I'm okay with the name dropping. I've got to tell you, I'm okay with it.
It doesn't surprise me.
I'm completely fine with it. It's amazing.
He's the most professional person on and off the field. He is so humble, and for the player he's no Ronaldo, put it this way. Like you probably couldn't look at Ronaldo. You'd have to have permission to look at Ronaldo.
Well, you can. It's in his contract. You can. It's actually in the contract.
But
you can.
I just think Harry Kane he's a goal scorer. He just... And I've got no word. I just think he's incredible. I think he's incredible. I think he continues to be incredible. I think the way he lives his life off the field really is a big factor in how he performs on it as well. I think he's so humble, and I think he's arguably one of the greatest goal scorers of all time that I've ever witnessed.
Yes, but what Rebecca's asking, Theo, though, I think is a fair question, is because literally the moment he left Tottenham, it's almost out of sight, out of mind to everybody. And I know this sounds crazy, but he's not talked about the same way, especially over here, the way we talked about Lewandowski. Yeah. Luis Suarez, even Sergio Aguero. Like, it was always these things like, and part of it is I think Harry Kane's journey was very interesting. How many loan spells did he go on until
Leighton
he
Orient,
found himself,
Norwich,
right?
Leicester, and not good at any of them, really. Millwall, did I want to say? Not good at any of them.
Where Theo hit the nail on the head is he is kind of robotic. What I mean by that is he's consistent, but he doesn't do anything off the field. There's no real style. He's not worried about the hoopla, about any of that. He's worried about putting the ball in the back of the net, which he's done at an unbelievable rate at Bayern Munich, which, by the way, we're talking about Bayern Munich, top 5 club in the world, top 10 club in the world, because people are going to lose their minds that American somehow said top 5. But you know what I'm trying to say. The reality is, though, it's true. I mean, he's got 100 goals faster, quicker than anyone.
It's because he's English. No one likes the English.
I agree. Well, I kind of agree with that there. Sorry. Is this thing on?
You know what, though?
Is this mic on?
You use the word robotic. I think what absolutely sums him up the most are his social media posts. I follow him on X, and I follow him on Instagram, and I sometimes wonder why I do. Because I could literally tell you what's going to happen. Great game, so happy to get more goals, on to the next. And we laugh at that because it's like either... Someone's obviously writing that for him, but that's also reflects his personality.
Chad Harry Kane.
Yeah, 100%. Chat HK. But fair enough, because like you say, he doesn't want to be distracted with writing his own Twitter feed, and then maybe catch himself reading a couple of comments. Nobody needs that. He has absolutely got his career so dialed in and so focused, and his wife and the kids and the whole thing. Again, put him in my other pocket. He wouldn't fit, but I'm putting him in my other pocket.
Do you know
because
as well?
he is a reflection of all that's good. Yes,
those players, Rebecca, the top players just do things differently. They think differently. They just. They wake up at a different time, they work out at a different time, they do more hours than people before he even got to the training ground, and he's that type. And he's the go-to man. I think he's incredible. I think he's amazing.
Okay, so in the England squad, no Jack Grealish, guys, no Phil Foden, no Jack Grealish, which Everton changed their ex-bio yesterday after Grealish scored the winner against Palace, and all it said was Everton Football Club, and then underneath it just said Grealish for England, which I thought was, I love that too. I absolutely love that too.
That's good bands. That's good bands.
It is. And the one thing obviously I was a little devastated when that winner went in, to say the least. But if anyone's going to score a winner against Palace to end our 19-game unbeaten run, I'll give it to Jack Grealish, because I have to say, honestly, I just think he's an absolute joy in every way. In his post-match interview, which again, it's like interviewing a fan. He's the most normal bloke. He tells stories. He just comes straight from the heart. He talked about how he shouldn't get these. He saw down on the floor the Man of the Match award, and he went, "Oh yeah, I see that Man of the Match awards. You're going to give that to me, but you know what? Adam Wharton should get that. Adam Wharton was the best player on the pitch today." I mean, when have you ever heard players say stuff like that? I absolutely love him. Now he's not in the England squad, and that is a shame. Jude Bellingham is also not in the England squad. And this is kind of juicy, Taylor. Where do you stand on that? Coming back from injury, and Thomas Tuchel says it's a fitness problem, but we know that he's kind of fallen out a little bit with Thomas Tuchel when Thomas Tuchel's mum called him, was it revolting, I think was the word, which he then apologised to him about. And Thomas Tuchel said it was definitely kind of a loss in translation. I didn't realise the word revolting meant quite what it meant in English. You just get the feeling that, England's arguably best player, Jude Bellingham, and England's manager are not on the same page. Because in the past, England managers would have called up their stars, as I say, even if they got a broken leg.
Yes. However, it's, October 2025. Mm-hmm. If he's going to send a message to Jude Bellingham, better now than late. So I have zero problem with it.
What's the message?
Truthfully, the message is you got to get fit, you got to get right, because he hasn't really played great coming back from injury. He hasn't been the same Jude Bellingham that you want. And if you're going to do it now for injury-related fitness thing while also sending a message, you got to remember, Tuchel's German. There's subliminal messaging in everything they do. I've played for about 10 Germans. It just is it is what it is. I'm okay with it. Now, it's going to be a headline, and it rightfully so should be a headline. But I've seen a couple of the Madrid games. I'm not sure Jude's at the same level. So as a manager, if you can do it now, I'm okay with it. But if he does it after the new year, now there's a problem. Because now you're going into your World Cup. You're going into exactly where you need to prep and get camp and get time and all of that together. Theo, I'm okay with it, but it does feel like it could be a little murky in about 6 to 8 weeks' time.
Taylor as well. You got to remember, the squad played their best game for a long time, winning 5-0 against Serbia, of course. And when I say it's not the 11, it's the squad, and it's more the squad, the guys on the bench, the guys, the staff, how you speak to each other, how you behave around the place. I'm not saying he doesn't behave like I don't know him. I'm just thinking it's a big factor in how much positive energy you want at a football club. Look at Arsenal; it's positive everywhere right now. It's the same story for England. He wants people that are a team, and he couldn't care less of the best players. He would go against that, and it'd be hard to derail anyone from the last squad. It really would. And as much I want Jack Grealish back in the squad, I do. I want Phil Foden because I think he's exceptional. However,
me too.
What message do you tend to players when you say to them, "This is the best performance we've had"?
It's the first good performance too, Theo. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I need to reinforce your point. It's the first game they've had under Tuchel.
So why are you going to change it? Exactly. You wouldn't. If you're managing right now, what's message you sending to the players that are part of the squad that may not have played, but they've contributed with the behaviours of how Serbia are going to play to get the guys up to the level to perform? You know, the guys on the bench sometimes, I've been in squads before where they think they should play, they should be starting. So, you know, they've got to be a certain player for a team, but they're going to do it slightly differently, do it their own way. No, you're meant to try and be like the team. And I think it's important for him to have he wants characters around. I get that. And Jude Bellingham is that. However, he wants a team, and he's not a team member at this moment in time. You can see the way at times he he throws his arms around. I think that's not a good look. And I know everyone looks like he cares, and I get it, he will care. But however, it doesn't look good. It does not look good for a team environment.
That's really interesting. Coming from a former England player, England stalwart, England legend, that's interesting. I didn't think you'd say that. I actually thought you'd say you should call him up because he's Jude Bellingham. So I'm interested in that opinion very much. I can't quite decide on my opinion on this one. I just think Jude Bellingham comes across so, other than what you just said there about throwing the arms up, when he talks, I just think he's magic. I think he's articulate. I think he's thoughtful. I think he's humble. I think he comes across beautifully. I know he has a problem with the written press and he doesn't have a problem with the broadcast press. And I think if you ask the broadcast press and you ask the written press, they'd have two different opinions of him, I think.
You get two different answers.
From what I can gather. But you can only take as you find. And from what I found, I think he comes across great. So I'm a bit concerned. That's why I'm more concerned that there's something wrong that's deeper. I'm not sure he'd have forgiven Thomas Tuchel for what he said, because that was a terrible error of judgment by Tuchel.
But as well, you look at, if Madueke was fit, I think Saka might not have gotten it. I think you just said, look, I know what you like. I think it would have been the same story. Yeah, I do, because I think it's the same thing. He wants to keep that squad.
Oh, it's going to be interesting, isn't it?
It's going to be interesting. But look, I think Jude will be there. He will be there. Okay. I think he should be in the team.
I just think
it's...
Yeah, oh my God, he better be. He'll be there.
Because surely. He's a winner, isn't he? He's a winner, and he creates moments.
He wins a World Cup for England. Yeah. We don't have
it's
that
gonna
many
get hard.
teams.
It's going to be hard to get there, though, out of your pocket, Rebecca.
Well, I know I have a lot of players right now. They've got Saka, we've got Harry Kane, we've got Jude, we've got Grealish is in the pocket as well. I'm overflowing right now. Glasner's always in the pocket. He's like sewn into the pocket. Okay, guys, we've got to talk a bit about USA, because going into this next international break, Tyler Adams misses out because he's having baby number 2. Well, he's not. His wife is. Anthony Robinson is back after knee surgery, although he's struggling to really get into that Fulham team. What do you want, Taylor, to see this time from Pochettino's side, which has been up and down, but it did finish well in the September break?
The last game in the September break, he played 3 in the back, and there was finally cohesion, belief within the group. This is the strongest camp he's called in a while, in a long time. Yep. And rightfully so, you have to. There's not that many dates for the United States to prepare for a World Cup, because World Cup qualifying, all of this we've spoken about, where it doesn't really exist. And so you want to see some kind of progression within the system, playing 3 in the back. Anthony Robinson, this style, this formation, it suits him. It plays into his strengths. I'm a little surprised there's no Serginho Dest, because he just played 68 plus minutes over the weekend, and yet they're telling us that it was an injury concern. But all in all, I want to see some level of progression, especially going forward, and how dangerous they can be against the 2 opponents that they should be dangerous against.
You're facing Ecuador and Australia in friendlies, both friendlies, of course, over the international break. England, just by the way, I should have said this, host Wales in a friendly, then Latvia in a World Cup qualifier. England should secure their place at the 2026 World Cup, where, of course, they might well go on to face the USA. So we will have more to discuss between England and the USA in our international break episode that's going to be a little bit later next week. It's going to come out, I think, on the Thursday of international break, just so we can watch both of the games for both of the teams and then talk about it. Just real quick, Major League Soccer, Taylor, this week, some big storylines. Philadelphia Union winning the Supporter Shield after firing their long-term manager. Just tell us a bit about that.
It's a little surprising. Nobody would have expected. I mean, Jim Curtin was there for, if I'm not mistaken, 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And when they fired him, Theo, it was one of those where you're like, hang on a minute, this is coming out of the blue. Then the rumors come out, it was the sporting director or it was the head coach. One had to go, change was made, and naturally the sporting director is going to say, I get one more chance as the coach. The surprise was they went after Bradley Carnell, but Bradley Carnell's pedigree is high energy, Red Bull style, get after teams, make it ugly, turn them over. And Rebecca, they've punched above their weight. They were fantastic on the season. This is an Eastern Conference that is heavily stronger than the Western Conference, where there's a little bit more parity. So the likes of Miami, Cincinnati, Columbus, for Philadelphia to win this, you're talking about the greatest moment of their franchise history. Now, in saying that, Bradley Carnell with a chip on the shoulder, last time he was manager in the playoffs, he was the number 1 seed at St. Louis, and they lost to Sporting Kansas City as an 8 seed. So Philadelphia is going to have a bullseye on their back. Bradley Carnell's got to be better, but honestly, it's a huge surprise. But that's what this league's built on. Surprises, parity, the ability to change it very quickly year after year, and Philadelphia is a good example of that.
Quick shout out to our friend of the show, Phil Neville, who has clinched a playoff spot with Portland Timbers. Well done, Philip. And San Diego FC, my team, I think I'm right in saying, broke the record for the most amount of points ever for a new team, a new franchiser for the new city. I mean, that's incredible.
Rebecca, they also had the most wins. So, in my favorite part is if you actually track style points, they're an unbelievable watch week in and week out, and they did so with real injuries to Chucky Lozano, who missed some time. Anders Dreyer's an MVP candidate. He's been brilliant, 30-goal contributions on the season. But San Diego's got a style to them. They go about their business. They're going to play a very stubborn style, possession, high press. They're a joy to watch. But most wins, most points in an expansion year, kudos to them.
I love it. I picked well.
You did. Oh, wait, speaking of, we're doing no picks this week. No season standings?
No, we're not doing picks this week. I'm just glossing over that. All right, chaps, so we're going to finish with question of the week. This one is from Brandon in Albany, New York. Yes, Taylor, you already have a question on the fact that I haven't even asked the question yet?
Yeah, just because I like how you're skipping over, shouldn't we give an update on the season standings for picks of the week, Theo? Don't you think we should?
I agree. Yeah.
No. Well, listen, I just read everything that's in front of me, and they haven't I never go off script ever, not once, ever. And there's no picks of the week on my script, so I couldn't tell you from memory what the table is. So we'll reconvene on picks of the week after the international break. Back to question of the week.
I have them.
Brandon, I don't care. From Albany in New York, right? Answer this. Taylor, you can go first, just to get you off the scent of picks of the week. What is the funniest or craziest halftime team talk you've ever had? Nothing will ever beat Phil Brown and Hull. But anyway, when they had the team talk on the field, do you remember that? That was amazing. That was amazing when he did the team talk on the field. If you haven't seen that, look it up on YouTube. Phil Brown, halftime, Hull against, I can't remember, kept his players out on the field in a circle and gave them a telling off. And they never went into the dressing room. It was Hull against Man City. It was unreal. And then the next week, Jimmy Bullard scored and did that as a goal celebration. And nothing will ever beat the Housery. Nothing will ever beat the Housery. Okay, yeah, give me your funniest or craziest halftime team talk, Tay.
What's the rating of this show?
What do you mean, like
PG?
R?
Is it like
I don't know
PG-13?
what that. Me and Theo don't know what that means. We do in England. We do like UPG 12, 15, 18. We don't know what R or anything means. So just do just say what you want.
Okay, so R is 18 and older. PG-13 is 13 and under. Let's keep it PG, right?
Okay.
I played for Liverpool legend Stevie Nicol. I played for him, and his assistant coach was English and Ipswich legend Paul Mariner.
Yeah.
Why do I say that? We had one halftime talk where neither one of them came into the locker room, so we just sat there.
What did they do? Just
we didn't know
outside?
where they were. Yeah, so then we're all doing. You're sitting in and we're looking around like, what time do we go back out? And then we just we went back out. Did
they ever address that they never said a word?
Never addressed
That's
it.
So
didn't
weird.
do anything, and it was amazing. Now, it wasn't. I've never been part of that much. Coaches and managers will yell at you. That's not a great story. But here's a great story, real quick, as Theo's going to think about his craziest halftime talk. Those two gentlemen, Stevie Nicol, Paul Mariner, they didn't tell the goalkeeper coach that they switched his boots out. So our goalkeeping coach was a size 10 and a half. They changed his boots to 9s, but took out the tongue and wrote 10 and a half. So about 10 days later, he comes in and he's really limping. And this is like at the halftime of a game. And he's sitting there going, my toes are killing me. We're laughing. And those two jokers are in the corner of the locker room laughing. They changed his boots to a size and a half down and gave our goalie coach gout. They gave our goalie coach gout.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I'm telling you, it's one of the best stories ever. Carry on, Theo. Carry on.
I can't beat that. I can't beat
Have you
that.
got
I don't want to beat that.
anything weird? Yeah. Anything weird at all at halftime ever?
He played for Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, something similar with Arsene Wenger.
Sven,
he would always.
Surely.
So yeah, Arsene, he was not a man of many words at halftime. He really wasn't. He was very. Yeah, he was calculated, shall we just say? And he would always walk in and it'd be quiet. So it's very similar, like just quiet, no words said, and everyone would be quiet and be like, well, "What's he going to say?" And then he might just walk out of the room and then come back in, then say his piece. But however, we played Liverpool away one time, and he came in. We all were just chatting. He came in effing and blinding.
Ooh.
Really out of character. Couldn't believe what I was hearing.
What had triggered it?
I mean, the performance first half was awful.
Theo crossed 3 balls out of bounds.
I didn't even cross it. I didn't even get a chance. I didn't even get the ball. I need my midfield players to get me the ball. It's not about the wingers. It's their problem. Cesc got out me out. Santi Cazorla. No, but he came in and it just surprised us all and it shocked us. And I can't repeat what he was saying, but it sounded beautiful in French. It really did.
Did it make you better second half? Did that
we won the
butt?
game.
You see?
We gave a kick up the band, we won the game. And after
brilliant.
that, he came in there and he just said, guys, no words, and then just walked out.
You have to be different in order to get a reaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you do the same thing over and over, the players won't respond. For Arsene to do that, obviously you got a response. If Stevie Nicol or Paul Mariner came in and didn't say the F word for an entire 15 minutes, you would have got our attention because we would have been like, wait a minute, are they... What?
You say you have to be different.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, except that the only caveat to that I would say is probably Sir Alex Ferguson, where I would have thought he would be full-blown hairdryer when needed. Although, to be fair, it probably wasn't needed that much, was it? So actually, when he did bring out that hairdryer, Fergie, it would have been, you're right, yeah, it would have been a rarity. And so it would have shocked them. Okay, brilliant. Love it. Brandon and Albany, thank you so much for sending us in your question. That is all we've got time for, guys. This week's episode of It's Called Soccer is done and dusted. We're going to be back next Thursday, like I say. So not Tuesday, but next Thursday, so we can take in all of the international games that we need to concerning England and the USA. So we'll break down all those stories. Remember to subscribe to the show, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Remember, send us in your questions and we'll pick our community question of the week. Thank you for joining us, chaps. Have a lovely international break. Bye.
Season standings as follows.
Oh no, this is that. I said bye. It's the end of the podcast.
No, it's still recording.
I want to know.
We're still recording.
Tell me.
Theo, are you ready?
Yeah, I want to.
Rebecca,
So I did some math.
Keeping track.
Well, no,
Such a
I
geek.
find it into no. It's actually because I'm so bored on these red eyes. I was like, you know what? She's brought up some interesting points. So, System A, 2 points for the result, 5 points exact, 1 point for the score.
Right.
Theo would have 31 points.
Right.
Taylor Twellman would have 29.
Right.
Rebecca would have 15. Now,
not
System
terrible.
B,
It's not terrible.
no, it's not terrible. System
think we're
B,
done.
this is
Stop
1
the
point
count.
result, 1 point score, 1 point scorer. Theo Walcott, 16. Taylor Twellman, 15. Rebecca, 8. Those are your season standings for It's Called Soccer after Week 7. For those of you that want to join us next week for our picks, see you then. Bye-bye for now.